there, my name is Todd. I am the author of Graph Compose. Over the holidays, I built an integration with Postmark. And we use Postmark a lot to send transactional email in a business I am a co-founder of, which is Loungepair. So Loungepair, we do, it's a travel business. We help people who are going through airports get access to airport lounges, and it works on a bidding system. So people place a bid, and the airport lounge will accept that bid or reject that bid, or the bid may time out. So as you can imagine, there's quite a lot of transactional email that we need to send. Now that is usually when the request is made for the bid, and we send that off to everyone. And then when either it's an event that triggers, such as the lounge accepts it, or it is actually that the bid times out because it never got accepted. So we send a lot of transactional email, and I've been having some problems with all of our email templates, because when you have different email templates, they do require different variables to be passed in when you're making that call to go and send the template. And if you happen to miss one of those, then you end up with a lot of funny looking emails where you're missing fields and things don't align properly because you didn't pass the variable in and all sorts of things. So I thought there must be a better way to actually compose these emails. Now, I'm going to do a demo of how this works and what I've come up with. So I've got here a sandbox account in Postmark. And we see here that in templates, I just deleted the welcome template, but I'm going to go through and add that. So I'm just going to choose welcome at this point. I'm going to choose the existing layout that is there. There's nothing too special. You can see here that this is what it looks like. I'm in dark mode here, so that's why we got the dark version. And we've got these variables. So there's a button here, there's a login page, a username. All of these variables are kind of part of that. So if we click on the edit test variables, these are all the ones that if you do not pass in, then this kind of welcome email doesn't really make sense, or it's going to at least look wrong, which can seem to be a bit fishy to your customers. So it's really important that we pass all these variables in. Now, to be able to achieve this, what we've done is we've wrapped this up into a set of GraphQL mutations. So let me show you how that works. So at the moment, I've got nothing here. This is basically a blank GraphQL instance where we don't have any mutation set. So I'm going to go through and just create that right now. Okay. Now we have a server token. So as you know, with Postmark, you've got an API token. So that's this one here. I'm going to use this and reset it after. Paste that in. Now, when I add in the server token, this is authenticated against my instance for Postmark. So let me just add that. And we can see here now we've got this send welcome email. But we also have all the arguments that are passed in from that template. So I'm going to jump back to that template that we saw before. Here we go. Oops, sorry, not code samples. It's going to be, where is it? Oh, you can actually see it here in preview. So you can see these are all the variables that are needed to be passed in. And we have called the Postmark API and actually made these as typed variables. So when you're going through to write out this query, it will actually say, okay, we need arguments, and in that we need an action URL. And we know, because the way the GraphQL works, that needs to be a string. So if I try passing a number, that actually it will stringify it. If I try passing a different type, it will probably throw an error at me when I try to execute it. But these are all strings, and they all get documented in the documentation. So we got Args, and you can see here are all the variables up here. Now, this is sort of how you would work with it in the GraphQL API. This is repeated, so you do have send welcome email, and for every single template that you create, it would have its own send function. So you would be able to send with any of these variables, and it would go on and send that through Postmark. But of course, it's actually nicer to work with this in code, not always in a console. So I use a tool called GenQL, and you could use GraphQL CodeGen. If I bring that up, QL CodeGen. This one here, code generator. So a lot of people use this. This is a great tool because they support a bunch of different languages as well. So they have support for .NET, Java, Flow. I think there's a Go one here as well. Actually, Go has their own library. So there's a bunch of different code generations. I use GenQL. I think it's quite elegant. I'll show you how that works. So I've got here just a blank project that's pointing to this endpoint that I've just created. And we also have a Postmark server token. So that's the one that we were using before. We're going to use this to generate the SDK. So let me just come in here and do that. And you see what's going to happen is we've got the generated files here. Now, if I jump into my index, I'm going to just make this a little bit quicker. Paste that in. So we're basically importing the client, and we've got the client with the server token, and we can do one of a few things. So if I just bring over here, there's a few ways you can do this. This is kind of the way they recommend here. So you can actually go client mutation, and then this becomes a typed mutation. So if I do this, you can see here that's actually telling me how to send the email. And then when I pass in, I think their syntax is an array with 2 objects. Oops. Let's have a look. How was it? Sorry, this is not a function. This one's just an object like this. This isn't the way that I actually use GenQL. I'll show you the way I use it, which is a bit nicer. But this is what they show in the docs. So you got args, and then in that you've got everything typed through. So by generating an SDK based around the GraphQL API, within your code, when you're actually going through and generating email, it makes it much easier because it's telling you exactly what you need to provide. So the way I use GenQL, I wanted to show that as an example because that's how they do it. But the way I do it is like this. So I use their client.chain operator. So we can actually grab the mutation, and then we can export each one of the types out. Now, we only had one there. So send welcome email was the only one. But you can see they've generated a definition for me, which is great. So I can actually go send welcome email, and I can pass into this as an object, like from to args. And in here, I've got all the same. So that's a string, and then like name, that's going to be someone's name. Now, the interesting thing here is that, let's see, it's saying, let me show you this. So because we actually have all these other properties that are marked as required for the template, TypeScript in this case is going to yell at us and say, no, you need to provide all of these properties, otherwise it's not a valid email. And this is kind of the magic when it comes to taking a Postmark template and wrapping it up in a GraphQL schema and then generating a client from that. You get this immediate type hinting or type safety that's telling you you actually need to provide more values here or more variables here. And if this is within your code and somehow you're passing in like null, or you're passing in something, or you're missing something, that's not what it expects. You got to find out immediately before it goes to production and you start sending the wrong emails to people. And then if I get down here, get this, then we get, oops, sorry, bring that back. We get all the things you'd expect. So we get the message ID, we get a to who we sent it to, the name of the person, and so forth. So we actually get the response as we would get it back from Postmark. And this is promisified. So you'd be like, const send email equals await. And then you'd be able to get that. Now we're down top level await here, so it's going to yell at me for that. But it is a simple way of being able to get some sanity around sending highly templated emails when you're using them in a lot of different contexts. So a lot of us will not always send emails synchronously. We sometimes queue them up, or we will send them on an event that happens later. And this is a great way to really feel confidence in how it works. So would love to get your feedback. I made this video so I could share it with as many people as possible, explain the problem that I have come across to see if other people have had this problem. In terms of some of the other things we want to work on here, scheduled emails is one that's an easy one, and that's going to come through next. So it won't just, there'll be send welcome email, but then we'll also be creating scheduled welcome email automatically as well. So that will also accept a date when you want it to send, and sending an email now or scheduling an email for later is basically the exact same operation. You just provide the date when you want to send it. So we've got a few other ideas that we can actually work on to make this a bit more robust, a bit more usable. I've got a bunch of different projects I want to use this on, but I'm really interested in feedback. So yeah, hit me up, let me know what you think. Cheers.